Just being in an environment like this and meeting like minds, 'cause I'm learning from everybody who walked through that door, and so it's just a thing that I get the best of both worlds. I get to create a place where people can come and we can share knowledge, and then I get to you know host a lot of events, that bring people here that that also enlighten, empower, and educate our people.
Why they keep on calling my name?
Peace. It's your bearded Heru, and everything is real. Let's build. Fresh off the press and fresh off 24 hours ago from the Macon Telegraph, we at my favorite spot in the whole world. And I said I was going to do one more interview without doing the owner and the CEO and the founder of Homeland Village. My elder, Abijah Changa. How you doing?
Doing well, giving thanks. Glad to be here. How you doing, brother?
We always talked about your beginning of spirituality and consciousness. Could you start off and tell me about your introduction to Black consciousness?
Happy to. I have to say, my first experience with my awakening, it came my summers when I was a kid. I was always go to New York City and spend my summers with my father. He lived in New York. He worked in New York, and I would go up there every summer. And I would say probably I was in my mid-teens, about 15, and we were. He invited me to come for lunch with him one day. He worked in Manhattan. He lived in Brooklyn, but he worked in Manhattan. So I caught the subway over to Manhattan and met with him, and we walked around. Well, we had some lunch, and then we walked around, and we were just checking out some shops in New York, and we kind of stumbled on this African shop, it was like a museum to me. The first time I ever seen anything related to Africa that was of significance, that kind of really got my attention because I marveled over some of the art and things like I saw in there. So that had to be my first experience. And then some of the people that was working in there, I was walking around and I saw a brother in there. He was sitting down in the lotus position, and he had on his ethnic clothing and stuff, and he had dreadlocks. That's my first time seeing dreadlocks. And it kind of fascinated me, to see that, the long hair, and so that was one of the things. And then my father, he bought me a book, the book Message to the Black Man, and so after reading that book, that really kind of awakened my consciousness. And then I got introduced to brothers like Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory really opened my eyes to a lot of things, because back in the early '70s, he was very, very prominent. Very, he was doing a lot of work, a lot of and a lot of the speeches that he was doing, I had access to. So a lot of things that he was saying was very eye opening for me. So that would be my beginning and coming into knowledge.
A lot of the pictures that you got around the place, it has you with long dreadlocks.
Yes.
How did the long dreadlock, journey start for you?
Started when I was about 27, and I was living in Atlanta. I had some relatives that had moved back from New York they moved back to Macon, and but then Macon wasn't quite ready for them, so they couldn't take Macon, so they wound up after about a year or two they moved up to Atlanta. And when they moved up there, that was my opportunity, to kind of get into Atlanta, and see what was going on up there. 'Cause I could, I actually moved up there with them and stayed with them for about 5 or 6 months until I could find a job and get on my feet. So during that process, my cousin had married a brother from Trinidad, and very, very knowledgeable brother, very conscious brother, very cultured brother, and we used to have a lot of conversations. So would tell me a lot of things about, our culture and our history and, history in the Caribbean and stuff like that. But one day I was looking through his album collection. Back then that was vinyl, so so I was looking through his collection, and I ran across this guy with dreadlocks again. So of course that got my attention. I'm looking, and that wound up being Bob Marley. It was his album called Kaya. And Kanye, he had this big spliff, and had big dread. So, of course, that got my attention. We laying around in the floor in the living room, and, so I started playing the music. And once I started listening to the music, it was like, I was like hooked, instantly hooked, man. So I started digging the music, loving the music, and then, got introduced to the culture, the lifestyle, the Rasta lifestyle, and it was very fascinating to me, because it was something, coming from Macon, Georgia, and then, my eyes opened up to things like that, really gravitated me to that level of consciousness. And so that, that was my start with the dreadlocks. And what happened, I liked the music, but I hadn't really met anyone that I could just go one-on-one with, to talk to get more information on it. So at a point, my car had car trouble, so I had to catch the bus to downtown, to my job. And then in that process, I met a Rasta sister, and a beautiful queen, and we got to talking. Every day I would get on the bus, and we would talk, and so we eventually started dating, and and her mother was Rasta. She was originally from Pittsburgh, but she was living in Atlanta. And her mom moved down and lived with her and stuff. And so, through our conversations and things like that, getting introduced to the lifestyle, the eating, the eating was so amazing, because it was all vegan and good, tasty food, food cooked with so much love, and that was really my journey of, veganism and Rastafari. So that was, very significant in my awareness and my culture.
Talking to a lot of the older elders, before the internet, because I think a lot of people get misconstrued, like the internet been around forever, and that a lot of the people, a lot of the elders was getting their knowledge through the internet, and it's not really like that, So coming up in the 80s with locks and saying that you vegan, wasn't that like a radical move back then?
It was considered very radical, because I started out with my locks in Atlanta, but I moved back to Macon in 1981, and I locked my hair in 1980, so I was up in Atlanta for a year with locks, and it was pretty normal, pretty natural up there. Didn't get a lot of stares or stuff there. But when I moved back to Macon, it was totally different story. And I was in the beginning, I was the only person that I knew that had dreads, but I started running into guys. So I would say after about the first year here in Macon, I maybe ran into about 5 or 6 other guys who had locks, and some of them were educators, some of them were just farmers, and just different type background and stuff. But we all kind of congregated together, because we were all we had, So so we would kind of meet and stuff, do our little idle food. We would play chess and just hang out and and reason and things like that. So that was when I got back to Macon, it was totally different. So my profession had changed as well, because when I was in Atlanta, I was an insurance agent. So I had an office job, wearing suits every day, and had a office and secretary and all that other stuff. So when I moved back to Macon, after I locked my hair, I knew I couldn't work in corporate America anymore. So I had to fall back on something else. So I was kind of brought up doing a little construction. I was introduced to it when I was young, but then when I came back to Macon, I had a cousin who had started a little home improvement company, and so I was working with him, and we, kind of got his business off the ground. And I could wear my hair like I wanted there, so everything was okay. I still got a lot of stares, and still got a lot of, people looking at me like I was crazy. But it was a lot easier, because, I was working for my cousin. That lasted about 2 or 3 years, And then I moved on to some bigger companies around here in Macon. We worked with some of the big local companies and stuff. And and after about 5 or 6 years working with them, I would say around 1986, I decided to venture out on my own in construction. Doing my own little contracting work, and you know that worked out pretty good for me. It took a little while, to build it, but it was working good. I actually did a lot of work for some of my teachers, my educators, people that taught me in school. Gave me my first big break. My high school principal, and and then it was like a networking thing. Cause back then, we didn't have social media and all that, so basically it was like word of mouth. So you do good work for one person, they tell other people, and them being a lot of them was educators. That was that circle of educators who always passed the information around who was doing good work, and so my name kind of passed around with that, and so that helped to build my construction company. Yeah.
One more question about the hair, because like I said, us younger guys, we don't really understand the struggle of the black man from back in the days. Actually, the hair thing, when you decide to lock your hair up, that's actually taking another stance that you not with the system at all. Like, for a fact your future is kind of like in limbo because of your hair. I don't think people realize that, when they growing the dreadlocks. And, one of my roster friends say they got the pretty dreads. Yeah. So, was it like a different type of stance you was taking within yourself, knowing that, hey man, I'm growing locks, I probably will never be able to get a so-called office job again?
I wasn't interested in in going back into corporate America because I saw how corrupt and racist it was. There wasn't like a lot of opportunity for young blacks. There were some, but you have to meet a certain criteria. So and I don't think I was willing to do that. So being in corporate America had no longer interest me, and I was happy with doing construction because I like working with my hands. I like creating things, and it just kind of suited me, and I like working in the dirt, get my hands. I like gardening and all kind of stuff like that. So that kind of met my needs more, and I kind of latched on to the information that Marcus Garvey was talking. I had read a couple of his books, and and I love his way of speaking on independence. Learning how to do for self. So those were one of the things that kind of motivated me, inspired me, to do things that I was doing. So it brought about that independence, and that isolation where I didn't need the system, to do anything for me. I just wanted the system really just leave me alone so I could, do my own thing. So it worked out that way.
You do the veganism and you do the vegan thing. How long have you actually been practicing veganism?
Yeah, it's a practice, because it's things that I do sometimes. I've done, but probably I would say at least about 15 years, and and it's a practice. You don't beat yourself up when you don't meet all the criteria that you're trying to meet. But as you get older, your strength and will develops a little stronger. So you kind of wean yourself off of. I used to eat a lot of fish. Certain fish. But not all. Like no shellfish and things like that. But I like the salmon and snapper. But the veganism was primarily my meal. Was my the meal that I ate. I would say 80% of the time.
What made you become vegan or health conscious? Because we're in the South, and everybody want to eat some swine, and we can pig out on bacon and pork ribs, and people look at us kind of funny when we have a different diet. So was it a spiritual thing for you when you changed your diet way back in the days, or was it like a thing of just natural progression?
Yeah, it was spiritual. It was definitely spiritual. Cause I know that you know, your body is your temple, you know, and you have to treat it correctly in order for, you know, for your blessings to manifest. You know, you have to take care of yourself mentally, spiritually, you know, and physically and stuff. So that was one of the reasons I was kind of drawn to veganism because and then how it made you feel healthy. You know, you really felt healthy, and you know, you had a lot of endurance. You know, and plus I was an athlete. You know, I always played some type of sports and things, so that also helped catapult. You know, my desire, you know, to stay healthy was through me playing sports and also the spiritual part of it.
This beautiful place that we call Homeland Village. Like I said, I was drawn to it. It felt like I was here in the area for like 5 or 6 years, and nobody never told me about this place. But when I came, it was like I thought I was at home. It felt like, oh, like one of those things, you know, and it opened up to me. What made you? I know when we talk about you and your hair and your different things about being independent. What made you open up this place, this Homeland Village place?
Well, the main reason I would have to say is the need that I saw the people of African descent in this city were so disenfranchised, was so deprived of so many basic things that they needed. They didn't have access to information, and I knew it was a wealth of information out there that people here just never had access to, and you know, and you have to meet people where they are, you know, and you can't, you know, try to condemn anybody when they haven't had any, you know, the same experience or exposure that you have. So, you know, if you can present that same information that I was presented, you know, it give people an option, give them a chance, you know, to also elevate themselves, you know, come out of things that's holding them back, you know. So, I just saw a great need here in Macon, and I had the I had the will. I mean, the will was never a question, but I didn't have the resources, so I had to, you know, take my time and you know, and I took baby steps, you know, because you know, there was so much other things going on. I still had to make a living, but the first shop I had, I rented a building, and it was called Harumbi Culture Shop, and we used to make cabinets and do furniture, and you know, I used to have my tools and everything there, you know. So when I go out on construction jobs, you know, that was like my base. So that was the beginning of you know, my first shop. That was around the corner, not too far, about a mile from here on Montpelier Avenue. And then I stayed there about 5 or 6 years, and then I went to another location. I was there for a few years, and in 1996 was when I found this spot. And at that point in time, I was in a better position, and I was, you know, looking for a place to buy. The place, it needed a lot of work, but what I saw, it had a lot of potential. It was structurally sound, you know, and all I had to do was come in here, you know, and just put some work in, you know, work in, and eventually, you know, it created Homeland Village. So like I said, I bought the building in December of '96. I started working on it in, of course, '97, and it took me about 3 years working out of my pocket because I couldn't borrow any money. You know, my credit wasn't, you know, nothing. And I really didn't want to. Like I said, wasn't looking for the system to help me at all. So I just, you know, but I was just had that determination to do something for my people, and so that's how Homeland Village became what it is right now. You know, and it was, you know, it's been 21 years, well, 20 years since Homeland started, and you know, been some struggles, been some ups and downs and things like that. But I wouldn't take nothing for my journey, and I'm just looking forward to, you know, another 20 years, hopefully. You know. And I want to pass it on to, you know, some up and coming brothers like yourself. You know,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because Homeland has to continue on, whether I'm here or not. You know, so.
You know, a lot of our people, you know, we came up under do for self, and you spoke about independence. Could you talk one more time about just the feeling that you get of being free and independent and owning your own business?
Well, I would have to say the biggest part of independence is freeing your mind. Not having that slave mentality, not thinking that somebody else is better than you. Not bending over to let somebody get on your back and ride you, things like that. So I never was that type of a person. In my early age, I had to admit I had some militancy. Because I was just angry because I knew things wasn't the way they're supposed to be. So I had some resentment and stuff. But I matured. Listening to people who kind of got me more centered, got me more spiritual. Particularly Brother Peace. Brother Peace is a big influence in my life. I love that brother dearly. And he has really kind of made me more well-rounded. In my knowledge. And so I kudos to Brother Peace. Big ups to that brother. And just being in an environment like this and meeting like minds. Cause I'm learning from everybody who walked through that door. And so it's just a thing that I get the best of both worlds. I get to create a place where people can come and we can share knowledge, and then I get to, host a lot of events, that bring people here that, that also enlighten, empower, and educate our people.
Like I said, this was the first of many interviews at the great Homeland Village. Abijah, before we go, could you tell the people the address and where could they get in contact with you if they need anything from Homeland?
Homeland Village is located at 2910 Napier Avenue in Macon, Georgia, area code 31204. And, we have a Facebook page called Homeland Village Cultural Center. We also have a website, but it hadn't been launched yet. It's almost ready, but not quite yet. So that information will be coming real soon. And just like to thank brothers like yourself, man, for always, supporting and always coming through and sharing your knowledge and your energy and all the positive things that you bring. So we're family. We're family. I mean, we may not be blood family, but we are definitely spiritual brothers, and we connected in so many other ways because we share a common good, a common goal, and I think we kind of progressing together.
Anything else you want the people to know?
Well, just come and support our efforts. Any black business, that's doing things to edify our people. We need to try to support and just just read and try to gain proper knowledge and try to change your lifestyle. If you eat a lot of bad food really create bad energy, bad thoughts, bad health and everything. So try to work on your diet. Try to get proper exercise. Get adequate sun, because the sun is your friend. If you eat right, the sun can be your best friend because the sun purifies. But if you're not eating right, trust me, the sun is gonna let you know it. So, things like that, just simple things. Get in tune with nature. Grow a garden, and help your neighbor do things. Just help your community. You see things going on in the community that's not edifying for your community, speak up and say something about it, and join coalition with people who are doing the same thing. So, yeah. Each one teach one, reach one.
Like I said, this is Bearded Heru. I'm live from Homeland Village with the owner, Abijah Changa. Y'all check him out. Peace.
One love. Peace.
Why they keep on calling my name?